Hi friends, and welcome to today's class. For today, there are no props required. You can even stay in bed if you prefer to be in a super soft space. So whenever you have your area to practice in, go ahead and meet me in embryo pose. We're going to start in a nice enclosed shape for today. So if you're looking to really find a very mellow or quiet or easy way to arrive into class today, find this smaller shape. So go ahead and bring your heels, your shins, your thighs to touch. Really making that connection, sit bones to the tips of the heels, and slowly allow your torso to fall over the thighs. Forehead just in front of the knees. And then arms alongside the legs as the shoulders just roll and completely enclose your shape. Sometimes when we really want to find some movement, if we really want to open the body, but we're not quite physically or mentally there just yet, sometimes finding an introverted shape just allows us to find a moment of self-reflection, maybe finding a more secure and enclosed space to set an intention, why we're arriving onto our mat today, what we want to get out of exploring some movement, some flow. So arrive into this space, giving yourself both the opportunity to arrive, but to settle. And to really feel that tactile feedback of the breath as your lungs, your ribs expand into your thighs. And feel how that force connection kind of makes your shape around you just a little bit bigger. Like with every inhale, as the front of the ribs press into the thighs, it forces the back of your ribs to expand a little bit further up in towards space. So it's a combination of finding a little bit of lightness, mentally, physically, but also securing yourself within that connection between your forehead, your shins, your arms onto the earth. And really having appreciation for your breath as you arrive into your space. And I don't have any music playing with me right now, but please feel free to put on something nice and soft in the background to help you move you through these easy movements, to wake up the body. Another 2 breaths. Go ahead and slowly, like molasses, drag your arms, like you're pulling them through, honey. Pulling those arms up and forward towards the top of the mat. And then not terribly energetic, but finding a soft grip into the mat. Slowly start to pull your shape, rounding your shape up and towards the front of the mat. So those hips lift from the heels. You're still keeping a very rounded, closed off shape. Coming through, like you're coming through a cat pose. And then you're keeping your head down, keeping your chin tucked, allowing the hip points to fall heavy, keeping a buoyancy in the elbows, a grip of the mat as you slowly, as those hip points finally settle, you start to open the front of the body. The last thing to lift is your gaze, is your chin from your chest. But still keeping that press away from the earth so you keep those shoulders down and away from your ears. If you want to keep your gaze closed, your eyes closed, please feel free. And then go ahead on your exhale, start to press through the heels of your hands, lifting the hips, come back into that softer, closed off shape. Allowing the tailbone to reach back towards the heels, feeling the shoulder blades spread wide, and using that anchor of the hands to really spread through the side body as your hips eventually come down towards your heels. Maybe you're Forehead reaches down to the floor. We're going to do 2 more rounds like that. On your inhale, go ahead and pull yourself through. Again, move at a pace as slow as you need or want to go. I'm kind of moving extra slow to really feel every bit of space open up on my journey forward. And I want to keep my heart a little closed off until it's ready to shine forward. So my hips are going to fall heavy, my belly start to open up, encouraging my heart to then open towards the front of the room, and my gaze lifts. Finding a long pause there. And then on the exhale, sending the hips back, reversing your movement. Nice and slow. Keeping those hands anchored so you can feel that stretch through the armpits, through the side bodies. Inhale, come right on back through. Finding a little extra space between those shoulder blades, really tucking the heart underneath yourself. Encouraging the hip points to the floor, maybe a soft engagement of the glutes, and using that energy, that really subtle energy to pull everything up and forward. And pausing here. And allow that buoyancy in the elbows to soften even further so you can officially bring your belly, your chest, your heart all the way down to the mat. And then go ahead and bring your hands on top of one another, forehead down to the backs of your hands. And then from here, go ahead and drive that right knee up. Like you're coming into a half frog pose. That right hip is up, or that right knee is up. Coming into a 90-90. Keeping that forehead down. And then go ahead, if you have the space, and back myself up just a little bit. Hopefully you can still see my legs. And from here, you're going to extend that right arm long. If you like, if you're happy where you're at, please stay there. And then you're going to roll right arm towards the top of the mat, left arm threads underneath the right, maybe the left ear comes down. And your super gentle, super soft twist. Breathing into the belly. Maybe finding a nice stretch within the left shoulder. And from here, you can stay here or you can continue this twist if you have the space to do so. So from here, reaching that right arm up and overhead like you're making a big circle around you. Keep that left arm, that right knee right where it is. Let everything kind of unravel as it will. As you spin the chest and heart up towards the sky, finding a gentle supine twist. That right arm, you can cactus it, you can keep it straight into a capital T. Just slowly trying to open that right collarbone towards the sky. Breathing into that twist. Breathing into the belly. Go ahead and close everything off by bringing that right arm back and up and overhead as you start to bring the right side of the chest back down towards the floor. That right knee stays out. Press through the palm of the right hand, release that left arm. Bring the hands back on top of one another. Extend the right leg long, switching sides. Bring that left knee up into that 90-90. Pause here for a moment. Trying to bring that left hip point down towards the floor. Feel the opening within the inner lining of that left knee. And then you can stay here if this feels perfectly fine for you, or if you want to find that subtle twist. Left arm extends long, right arm underneath. Come onto that right shoulder, right ear. Feel that gentle twist. Feeling the sensations in the shoulder, maybe a little bit in the spine, the left hip. Stay here, continue to open your twist by making a big circle of that left arm up and overhead, allowing that left knee to come with you ever so slightly to find that supine twist. Again, left arm can be cactus or capital T. Opening as much or as little as you'd like. But keeping that breath into the belly. Let it fill all the way through the belly, through the bottom of the rib cage. Two more breaths. And go ahead and reverse that movement. So really reaching that left arm up and overhead. Nice and slow until it comes back to where you started, pausing there. And press through the palm of the left hand. Release that right arm. And then bring the palms back on top of one another, keeping that left knee there for just a moment. And then go ahead and bring the left knee to meet the right. We're going to go through 3 rounds of oscillating cobra. Whoa. So fingertips to 10 and 2, elbows to the sky, and slowly let the head hang heavy as you keep those hip points anchored and start to unravel, opening through the front of the body, exploring some space along the spine or in front of the chest. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, rise. Keeping the motion as fluid as you can. Peeling up. And then sinking down on that exhale. Last round, inhale. Exhale, fall. Once you come down, hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, come up into a tabletop position. And feel free to take some movements here really quick. Just a little moment of freedom. Maybe coming to some fluid cat-cow, some weight shifting, just to keep that energy, that soft energy flowing. And then on your next transition forward, go ahead and bring the right foot outside the right hand. Let the hips settle low, wiggling that right knee in and out. Just allowing it to feel good, whatever that means for you. Don't think too much into it. Just keeping a lift within the chest, just to keep that lightness. Go ahead and pause in whatever space, and then go ahead and click that left heel in. So kind of like a kickstand, keeping that right hand planted, open the body up towards the left, reaching that left arm up. Finding some space within the inner lining of that right thigh. Close it off, left hand comes down, spin that left foot back, sit the hips back. Half splits pose, keep a generous bend in that right knee, toes towards the sky. Come on back, hands plant. Bring the right foot to meet the left. Maybe find a moment or two of that cat-cow, that weight shift. And then on your next transition forward, left foot comes outside, left hand. Let the hips sink heavy, let that knee move right off the bat, open and close. Find space. If you have blocks, I didn't mention any props because it's very personalized when it comes to feel good movement. And whether you want a little bit more support, more ease, or if you want to explore some more depth, that's completely up to you. So right now I'm on my fingertips. But if you want blocks, feel free. If you want to come down onto your palms, feel free. If you're really feeling deep and spacious and you want to come right into that deep expression of lizard lunge, you can always do that. Again, the options are always there for you. Just allowing those hip points to really fall, letting that depth to really sink in. Then find your stopping point, your comfortable stillness. Click that right heel in, keep that left hand planted, open the body up. Right fingertips reaching towards the sky. And you're using that connection between the left arm, left knee to really keep that knee open and explore some space within that inner thigh. So you're making that connection happen, you're spinning from it. And bring the right hand back down. Bring the right foot back behind you, sit the hips back, lift the left toes, coming to half splits. Keeping a generous bend in the left knee. Come back forward. Right foot, left foot meets the right. And then go ahead and bring the feet nice and wide, the knees nice and wide. Actually, knees wide, feet a little bit closer together. So there's a little bit of an angle of the knees out, feet in. And start to walk your hands back up onto your toes. And then bring the feet flat down to the floor. You're going to make your way. What I'm trying to get at is we're making our way into Malasana. So we're going to come into a low squat. And explore movement right away as we have been. Again, we're making things feel good. We're waking up the body. So if you want to block here, feel free. But just let the knees fall out and in. Weight shifting left and right. We're just going to work our way into the hips, into the back lining of the legs. So having your feet at an angle that feels comfortable for you and your body, starting from a position that you're comfortable with, go ahead and try to keep that connection between your thighs and your torso for as long as you can as you reach the sit bones towards the sky, straightening the knees. On that exhale, inhale, sit the hips back low, keeping the knees nice and wide, chest lifts. Exhale, sit the hips up and back in space. Try and keep that connection as long as you can as you straighten through the knees. Inhale, back down. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, sit down. 2 more. Exhale, lift. Inhale, sit low. Last one. Exhale, lift. Inhale, sit low. Keeping that chest nice and lifted. Go ahead and pause for a moment in your center. So bring the hands to heart center, driving the knees wide with those elbows, pulling the chest and heart forward. And then go ahead and bring the hands forward. Let the knees come down to the floor. Keep the knees wide and now bringing the ankles wide so that they're in line. So that shin is making a 90-degree angle with the thigh. And so I want you to bring the knees nice and wide, maybe even wider than your mat if you have a blanket, or if you want to come a long ways on your mat, whatever you prefer. We're going to come into frog pose. And coming into this shape, you can come into tadpole if that feels better for you, if that's just where you're at here in this moment. And so tadpole would be bringing the big toes closer towards one another, although the knees stay nice and wide still. Or if you can bring those shins to that 90-degree angle, so those ankles are below the knees. You can also come into that space. But wherever you're working your way into, just rock the hips forward and back for a moment or so. Explore your depth, see where you're at, see where you want that stillness to reside. And the longer, and as the breaths pass, make those oscillations of the hips nice and small until you begin to settle in. Breathing into the inner thighs. Using your upper body to support you in whatever means is necessary to find a level of comfort, level of ease in this pose. I know it can be a pretty big ask to get your body into this space first thing in the morning. But sometimes we wake up with a heck of a lot of stiffness, whether it's in the hips, whether it's in the neck, wherever we typically hang on to tension. Sometimes we wake up with a little more than we want in those particular areas. So, although this might seem intense first thing, it might be exactly what your body's calling for. If you started off in tadpole and you want to transition to frog, if you're in frog and you just need a little bit of a respite, you can move on into tadpole. Or you could always take child's pose. You're here for 4 more breaths. If you're in frog, go ahead and bring those big toes together like you were coming into tadpole. And then walk those hands closer to you. Bring the knees in towards one another. So you're sitting hips to heels. Take just a brief front body opener, fingertips beyond the toes. Roll the shoulders out and open, chest lifts. Feel free to lift the thighs from your shins. Exhale, sit low. Cross the ankles, bring your sit bones to the mat, and find your way into a Shavasana. Coming into that final rest, bring the legs nice and wide. And rest your arms on your belly, your hands on your belly, I should say. So we're staying open within the legs. But I still want the focus to remain on the breath. Now that you found some movement within the body, found some opening, created some space, return to the breath to bring the focus now back to the mind. Keeping that stillness, maybe revisiting that intention that you began the class today with. We started off in a very introverted space. Now here in this moment, we're finding a little bit more opening. Finding a position of rest that is more open to receiving energy around us. Ready to receive the energy of the day. Or maybe just a little bit more ready to receive the energy of what comes next. As always, please feel free to remain in this space for as long as you need. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a great day.